My name is Scotty. I'm a senior in high school and I'm a bit of an outcast. Nobody would mistake me for a male model. I have a lot of pimples and crooked front teeth. My hair is short and dyed blue, and I'm somewhat overweight, although I do plan on losing it soon. Most people who know me would describe me as the little boy who would never grow up. For example, lots of boys love to climb trees. At some point, most of them outgrow that phase of their life, but I never did. I lived a block away from high school and walked to and from every day. Clyde was an acquaintance of mine who lived down the street from me. We weren't friends, we just sometimes walked home together and would occasionally chit-chat. It was Clyde who dared me to climb the massive Siberian elm tree we passed by every day. He honestly didn't think I could do it. I proved him wrong. I climbed up that thing like a monkey. On my way down, my grip slipped, and I fell to the ground with the loudest of thuds, and everything went dark. My ears were ringing with thousands of voices. Gradually, the voices departed until I could just hear one. It was Clyde. "Oh no, if he's dead, I'll be in so much trouble. I was the one who dared him." I opened my eyes and stared at Clyde with disdain. "You thought I might be dead, and all you care about is that you might be in trouble?" Clyde seemed confused. What are you talking about?" "I just heard you. I heard what you said." He shook his head. "I didn't say anything." As I got up and started brushing myself off, I noticed that Clyde was looking at me weirdly. "What? What is it?" "How did he know what I was thinking?" I was staring at Clyde as I heard those words, but his mouth never moved. When it finally did, he was backing away from me. "I'm going to walk home a different way today." I watched on as Clyde hurried away from me. That was strange. As I continued walking down the sidewalk toward home, a woman in her 30s was coming from the other direction. As she got closer to me, she glanced in my direction. "Boy, he sure is ugly." I stopped in my tracks. I heard her voice, but her lips didn't move. When she noticed me staring at her, she gave me a polite smile. "Hi, how are you?" I just nodded back, and she walked past me. She was so polite when she spoke to me, but she had just called me ugly without moving her lips. What the hell? "Nice blue hair, weirdo." That statement was directed at me from a middle-aged man sitting in a chair outside a store. He was staring at me, and his expression concurred with that statement, only he never moved his lips. I stopped and looked at him. "What's this weirdo gawking at me for?" Again, it was him. It was the man in the chair. I heard him loud and clear, but he wasn't talking. I couldn't help but continue to stare at him in disbelief. He gave me a dirty look as he got up and entered the store. "Damn, I don't have enough change for the parking meter." This statement came from the woman by the side of the road who was fishing through her purse. "Now I'll have to find another parking spot and I'll be late for my meeting." I clearly heard her saying these things, but she wasn't talking. I walked up to the woman and held a baffled expression as I looked at her. She looked up at me and seemed confused. "Who is this?" Again, I could hear her, but she wasn't speaking. I reached into my pants pocket, pulled out some change, and put it into the meter for her. A huge smile took over her face. "Oh, thank you so much." I nodded. Sure." "What a nice boy." That's what I heard as she smiled at me. She didn't say it. I suppose she just thought it. That's when it dawned on me. I was reading people's minds. I could hear their thoughts. I didn't go straight home that day. I meandered around town to test my theory, and it was proven correct quickly. I could hear everything everybody was thinking. It must have had something to do with my head hitting the ground when I fell out of that tree. Over the next week, I just sat around and blankly listened to people's thoughts. It was my way of accepting that this was all real. This was a legitimate ability that I now possessed. I took some time to ponder what to do with my newfound ability. Ultimately, I opted for patience. I'd take things slow and figure it out as I'd go. It was when I was sitting in my least favorite class, history, that I heard something cryptic. "I'm going to kill him." I looked around the class until I spotted him. Dexter. He was a quiet loner who sat at the back of the class. He didn't have any friends. He sat alone at lunch. Nobody ever talked to him. "I'm going to steal my father's gun and kill Mr. Barlow. I'm really going to do it." Mr. Barlow was our history teacher. He was a first-class asshole. He was on a constant power trip. He took pleasure in belittling his students. Dexter was one of his favorite targets. He referred to him as a loser and a friendless freak. Mr. Barlow was the reason I hated history class. He was such a jerk. He picked on me, too. He'd occasionally call me chubby and pizza face. But since I was a straight-A student, he usually directed his vile remarks at kids who were struggling with their grades. The next few days, I made a point to stay in close vicinity to Dexter and listen to his thoughts. It was depressing, to say the least. Dexter spent most of his days trying to work up the courage to engage in conversation with other kids in school, but he'd always chicken out. What he wanted more than anything was a friend. I got the impression that if he just had a good friend, he wouldn't become the killer that he was otherwise destined to be. So one day I talked to him. I was always different and didn't have a lot of friends myself, so it was easy for me to relate to him. I think he appreciated that. It took a little while to get him to come out of his shell, but once he did, he was a nice, friendly kid. My passion in life is collecting toy action figures. The older the better. One day, I wanted to open up my own collectible store and auction house. I had the college that would teach me how to achieve my dream all picked out. It was a tough school to get into, but my grades were impeccable, so it wouldn't be a problem. Dexter really took to my toy collection. I could see a similar passion brewing within the young man that I had. I have to admit, I was a bit proud of him. As Dexter and I became closer friends, Dexter's homicidal thoughts toward Mr. Barlow began to decrease. He no longer thought about actually killing Mr. Barlow. He shifted his thoughts to hoping Mr. Barlow would fall down a flight of stairs or get into a car accident. But he was no longer contemplating murder. One day after leaving history class, I realized I forgot one of my other school books at my desk. When I stepped into the classroom to retrieve it, I saw Mr. Barlow sitting at his desk grading our final exams.
"What do you want? I'm busy."
"Oh, sorry, Mr. Barlow, I just forgot one of my books on my desk."
"Get it and get the hell out of here."
As I walked to my desk, Mr. Barlow went on a tirade in his mind about me.
"Oh, how I would love to flunk that chubby, ugly, pimple-faced brainiac. But he aced his final exam. That means he'll get an A in this class and have straight A's all throughout high school. He'll have his pick of colleges. But this little punk doesn't realize that I have all the power. I hold his future in my hands. All I have to do is change a few of his answers on the exam, and he'll wind up with a B instead of an A. Let's see how that blue-haired geek feels about that."
I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This power-crazed teacher was going to manipulate my test scores and ruin my perfect high school record. The college of my choice would accept me without question if I had straight A's. If there was a B on my record, that would drop me a level and it would no longer be a given. I might be able to live with that if the grade was legitimate, but this was all going to be at the hands of a lunatic teacher. I had to do something. I couldn't let this psycho ruin my future. Damn it. If I had never befriended Dexter, maybe he would have killed Mr. Barlow and this wouldn't be happening. That's when I got a bright idea. I walked with determination to Dexter's locker. When he turned around, he smiled. And that's when I let him have it. I hate you, Dexter. You're good for nothing. Mr. Barlow was right about you. You're a loser and a friendless freak. I could see sadness swelling within his eyes as he spoke. But you're my friend, Scotty. Let me make this loud and clear so there is no misunderstanding. I am not your friend, and I never will be. This devastated Dexter, and later that day, he killed Mr. Barlow. Being that Mr. Barlow didn't live long enough to finish grading the final exams, the principal took up that task. I got the A that I deserved, and was accepted into the college of my choice.
If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to my channel and hit the like button. I'll be back soon with another scary story.